Hey everyone, welcome to the show Handing the Shame Back. This is dedicated to survivors of child sexual abuse all over the world. We know the numbers are big, and this is in part why I've decided to run this podcast. We're in over 95 countries now, which is incredible, and very proud to bring that to you. So, as with all shows, there is a trigger warning, and I do that because no one wants you to be upset or traumatized watching this. If for whatever reason you do start to feel that way, please stop watching. Go to the show notes below. You'll be directed to some resource and support, and you can always come back and watch it another time. I do have an amazing guest for you, and her name is Isabella Grosso. She is a survivor, she's a dancer, she's an author. She's danced all the way across the screen from Los Angeles. Welcome to the show, Isabella.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. It's great to see you here. So, Isabella, what we do is we just look at your story, what you've experienced in terms of child sexual abuse, and as little or as much as you're happy to share. And we'll have a conversation. We don't know where this will lead to, but are grateful to have you on board. So I guess an initial question would be, how old were you when the abuse began?
I was 5 years old when the abuse started.
Okay. Okay. And are you able to talk a little about who the perpetrator was and the events surrounding this at all?
Yeah, it was like a family friend, like one of our neighbors. Um, it started with just like I have three older brothers, and I was definitely always wanting to play with them, be that tomboy, and we would play this like game where kind of like a hide and go seek type of game. And, we were, he got me alone, and um, the abuse started with him. And it was like our little secret. And that's how this like ripple effect of other people who abused me started. I was abused by 7 different people throughout my whole childhood till 12 years old.
And were these boys or were these adult males? What age are we talking about with that person?
Teenage boy. We had babysitters that lived down the street, and that was a boy and a girl. And then adults.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm so sorry you had to experience that. How long did that go on for with that first abuser when you were 5?
I don't remember how long that abuse happened, but I did tell my dad, and I think it stopped after that, but nothing was really like, I'm going to protect you type of thing. It was more when I told my dad, I had one of my stuffed animals with me, and my dad asked me like, where was it happening? And I told him, and I looked at my dad, and I saw this fear in his eyes and like sadness when I was telling him. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm never going to say this to my dad because I don't want him, like, I don't want that look ever again. So I felt like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep it and not say anything else to anybody. So I just, I didn't. And I didn't feel like it was now being older and realizing my dad should have just been like, I'm so sorry this happened. This shouldn't happen. I'm going to protect you and be there for you. If any of this ever happens again, please let me know. Like that's, what was supposed to happen, but it didn't. So I think if anything, it made me more secure with myself, made me feel even more smaller and not protected at all. more vulnerable than ever,
Yeah.
where
So what was when you looked at the fear and sadness in his eyes,
Mhm.
I think that's how you described it. Did you interpret that as a 5-year-old as being he's not happy with me, or he thinks it's okay? How did you interpret that look?
I interpret like I love my dad, and we both shared this love for dance and music. He's the one that got me into dance when I was 3 years old. So I think I felt just sadness and this look of like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to my daughter, and kind of disappointed if I put myself back into because I remember that moment so much. And just seeing his face, I guess it was more of like shock, disappointment, scared, where for me, as I took it as that 5 year old, oh, I'm never going to tell him this again because I don't want that same look that my dad just did. Rather than I got to be strong for my daughter and just say, if this ever happens, let me know. I needed that.
Have you ever been able to talk to your dad about that?
Yes, I have. I had a conversation with him a few years after that, maybe in my 20s, because I was still trying to figure out, because I started to have all these memories come back to me. And I knew, I didn't really know it was abuse, but I knew it was bad that this was happening to me because it happens multiple times through different people. So I when I was 7 years old, my mom is from Texas, and me and my mom went there because my mom had to go I forgot for what reason. And she left me at her friend's house. It was like a dad, but they had two kids, a girl and a boy, and they were like teenagers, maybe 12 and 13. And I was like, oh, yay, this is going to be fun. But once my mom left, she left me there for 2 days. We played the game Operation, and I was their patient. And that abuse I remember because it was very aggressive. And um, I mean, it, I don't really like to talk about exactly, but
Yeah.
they both did really bad things to me. And um, I told my dad about that when I was like in my early 20s, and he was really upset. He was upset at my mom. He's like, I knew you shouldn't have gone there. Um, my mom was doing her own thing at that time. Um, so I remember talking to him about that, and he was really upset and sad about it. And again, I think maybe it was my fault from going to therapies because I feel like I want him to be strong for me. I want him to know and apologize for what was happening to me, and he didn't. My mom apologized, a long time ago. Sorry, I was a bad mom and I wasn't there for you. And I felt like, wow, like that felt amazing. But another time when I tried to talk to him, this was during COVID actually, I tried to have a conversation with him, and he got really upset. He got upset at me, and he was just saying just the most horrible things, and basically saying that it was my fault.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was really, really hard for me to just take in. And yeah, like cried all the way home in my car. And I just wanted that validation, and just know that how as 5 years old is this my fault? Um, so I will never bring up the conversation again to him ever. I had to do a lot of therapy for that. and just know that I can't change him, but I know deep down inside that he knows that that was wrong.
When you consider it, and you're doing great, by the way, Isabella, thank you. But hello, survivors. I didn't say hello before. When when you consider, you know, what you're saying, Isabella, and to our survivors watching, you're getting that second wound, that reaction from a loved one who basically denies anything's happened, makes you the reverses the order of offender and abuser, and
Mhm.
has you feeling like it's your fault. And that can be really, really hard and unfair. And, when you consider it, the last thing you need when you're trying to tell someone like your dad who you love dearly, or for survivors watching, trying to tell someone that matters to you, the last thing you need is to then have it turned on you. And what we know is that if the first person that you try and tell or share this with as an adult behaves in that manner, it's very unlikely you'll speak to others for a long time afterwards
Mhm.
about this. Were you ever able to speak to your mum?
Um, yes, so when I started my nonprofit in 2014, I they knew that I was starting this nonprofit, and I was volunteering a lot before with like after school programs with young survivors. And I remember I was getting ready, I was going to go to this event, and my mom just comes to me before and she's like, well, my father abused me, and your father didn't want to talk to him or have anything to do with him. And I was like, wait, what? So I just learned about her dad doing this. But then I was like, and I was kind of shocked and speechless, and I didn't really say anything. And I was going to this like women's empowerment event, and and I remember I was with my best friends after my mom brought this up, and I was pissed. I was angry. I was like, wait, so my mom's dad abused her and she didn't protect me or do anything. And then yet my dad didn't want to speak to her dad. But what about me? So I was just really angry, sad, disappointed, and I really just felt so small. Like I'm not being seen, I'm not being heard by the two people that are supposed to protect and be there for me. So I'm grateful for the love and support that I have from my friends because they've really like stepped up. But I think like the hardest was like my parents really not showing up for me that way. But yet they can support my nonprofits and be there, but not realizing, or I mean, obviously realizing, but not wanting to talk about this is just it's just weird.
What do you put that down to, Isabella? Because I think it's a really important point that you're raising. They can support you through your charity and the amazing work you do, which, by the way, we will talk about. But they can't hear you talk about your experience as a child under their
Mhm.
care and protection being sexually abused by multiple people.
Mhm.
What do you put that down to when you look back? Because, of course, in hindsight, we know everything. But
Yeah.
yeah.
What do I look back at?
What do you make of that when you look back at why they can talk, they can support your nonprofit, but they can't hear you talk about this? What do you think is the reason for that?
I think they don't want to have that hard conversation with me. I think they want to support me, be like, hey, we're supporting, but we really don't want to talk about this. We just want to kind of like put a pin in it, and well, not even put a pin in it, because I think if you put a pin in it, you want to have a discussion later. to be honest, I don't know. I think what I've learned for myself talking to others and through therapies, like I can't change what they think. I can't, like, I have an expectation of them that I want, but I'm not going to get it. So why do I have to make myself go crazy and like get angry at them when they just probably don't know how to have that conversation with me because it might be too hard for them, might really break them down, might, you know, might go into maybe even a depression. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I just have to meet them where they are at
Yep.
because I feel like I will go crazy looking for a sorry from my dad, and I can't do that.
No,
Like I
no.
have to move forward. Yeah.
Of course you do. And, at the end of the day, you've done the best you could with what you know and you, and you're moving forward. I guess one of the questions from me, and be great for our audience to understand as well, is as you were going through these growing up years, and I think you mentioned earlier you were 12 years old when it all finished, when it stopped. But how did you notice the impact on you? I'm not talking physically, I'm talking socially, I'm talking with your friends, I'm talking with your behavior. What did you notice through those years?
Well, it didn't really stop at 12.
Okay.
There was a whole other, um, I guess, the abuse continued, but it looked different.
Right.
So my cousin started grooming me. You know, like you even know this, like predators know their prey. It's really easy. So they can scope out the most vulnerable. They can tell that if you have been abused as a child. So not that I really had a conversation with people when I was 12 years old about it because I didn't know. But my cousin started grooming me, a woman cousin started grooming me at 12 years old. And I started stripping at 16. And it was all through her um, kind of like knowing not that I was abused, but she definitely knew something was going on. And she just started grooming me where she convinced me that and to go back a little bit, we didn't grow up with a lot of money. There was four of us kids. And, my parents, we lived in a 2-bedroom house. My parents didn't have a bedroom because my two older brothers got one room. And then me and my other brother got the other room. So my parents would sleep in the living room or sometimes sleep in the bed with us. Um, my parents separated when I was 12 years old. So I went with my mom and my brother went with my dad and my two oldest ones. One was in the army and one was in college already. So we moved to Orange County, and that's where my mom's family lives. Like some of them live there. And we ended up moving in with her sister. So we didn't really have a lot of stuff. But my cousin, I always looked up to her. I thought she was so beautiful. She reminds me of Sofia Vergara. And she just always had this something about her that I was like attracted to in the sense of like, oh my God, I want to be her when I'm older. She's just so beautiful. She's smart and she has an accent, all these things. Um, so she would babysit me and, um, take me to school. I was in high school at the time and we were hanging out a lot more. I don't know what attracted her to want to hang out with me, but she knew that there was a way that she could use me and get what she wanted. So when I was 15, she took me to my first strip club and she would kind of make it look like it was something like out of a movie, like, look how beautiful these women are, and look at all these men. They're just gravitating towards her. You know, she's making all this money. That could be you. You can make a lot of money and you wouldn't have to live in this place. Me and my mom lived in a motel for a while also. So she just glamorized this. And on my 16th birthday, I was working at the strip club. And also, I wanted, she would show me love. She would show me that she was going to protect me. She showed me all these things that my parents didn't show me. So I did whatever she wanted me to do. And I was okay with that because she said, I love you. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. And I was like, okay.
Great.
So
How much
I,
older was she than you?
honestly, I don't know how old she was. Probably in her 30s. But she had
Oh,
two, yeah, she had two kids also. So she's my cousin by marriage.
so she was basically 15 years older than you.
Hmm.
Oh, so yes, okay. I'm going to ask you a question because it has crossed my mind. Did she make any money out of bringing you to the stripping world?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Right.
gave her all my money.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Because this was her idea. She would take me from school, and I was a junior in high school. So my birthday is June 30th. So, like right when I would turn 16, it was summer already. So that summer, I started working. So she would take me to work. My mom was working. My mom was a single mom. She was always busy. She was never there. I was like, I'm with my cousin. So, she was fine with that. And I would work during the day. So, and sometimes I would work at night, but my mom was like, oh, she's spending the night there. And they had two kids. And sometimes I would, babysit them when I was younger. So it was fine for me to always be there. It never crossed her mind. So yeah, I was working. I made her a lot of money. Yeah.
Oh, Isabella, that's just horrible for you. I'm very sad to hear that you were exploited that way. Um, did you ever have anyone around you that you could talk to or confide in growing up?
She was the only person.
Right. So she exploited that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the impact on you? You obviously managed to extricate yourself from that world. What was the impact on you as we look at, the second part of your life? You came out of that. How did you manage to get away or escape that world?
Um, the strip club world or the other worlds? The
All of
people,
it, that the abuse world, the, you know, sex worker world, the how did you manage to get out of all of it?
honestly, I think when I was at the club, I stayed in the industry for 10 years because to be honest, I felt like I grew up there. The women really supported me. They thought I was in college. So when I was in junior and senior in high school, sometimes I would bring my homework with me and they thought I was in college. So they would make sure that I would finish my homework before I went on the floor to work. Um, so I felt comfortable there. I didn't want to leave. When I decided to cut my cousin off, she was obviously really upset and called me horrible names. And she basically said the only thing I am worth is taking off my clothes. So I thought, well, then this is just what it is. Like I felt extremely worthless. I was really insecure. The only time that I felt good was being validated by these men and by these women that I worked with. So I think the transition when I finally decided I wanted to get out of the industry was like I couldn't handle it anymore. I felt like the last few months, it was men taunting me, making me feel like they own me when I thought I owned myself. But initially, I think in a way, they were right. They did own me because I was there for what? For their money.
Yeah.
And um I couldn't handle it anymore. And once I got out, I got out. I did therapy. I was in a relationship. Um, not and he's great and we're still friends, but I didn't treat him well because I feel like I grew up in this strip club industry. So my thought was like, never trust a man, never, always make sure you have enough money, never rely on him. So it it wasn't the best for me, but getting therapy, sharing my story, and actually talking about it was honestly my first step to healing because I felt like I wasn't alone anymore. I think the whole time being abused, I felt like I was dirty, I was gross. Why would anybody want to be my friend? I was bullied a lot when I was younger. So once I started to share my story, I felt more connected to others and be like, "Oh my God, I'm not alone in this. This does happen. What the hell?" And going to group therapy really helped. Therapy, talking to others, that was like my ultimate healing.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. Well done, you. And look, I just had a thought, and over to you if we don't discuss it. Did the stripping, that world you were in for 10 years, did that end up becoming sex work as well, or did it just stay at stripping?
It stayed at stripping.
Okay.
I definitely had sugar daddies for sure who would take care of me, give me money, and go out to dinners, but it always was at that.
Wow, that's highly unusual, isn't it? I mean, yeah.
I
Uh,
mean, there have been some men who obviously would cross the line where I would work all the time,
yeah.
and I would be upset. I would yell at them and tell the manager and kick them out. And there's nothing wrong with it. I don't want to diminish some girls who did do that because
No,
that's
of
their choice
course.
or
Of
anything like
course.
that.
Yeah.
But um, back then in the strip club, I don't know how it is now, but if there was an issue, the managers would protect us. And I felt more protected there than I did outside of the strip club, which was interesting. And yeah, they were supportive.
Yeah. So when you consider your life now and you consider what you've managed to overcome, because it's a lot, um, what would be the things you would say have helped you through this, overcome this, deal with it, face into it? You had group therapy. Was there anything else that you did that worked for you?
Um, I think I mean, obviously dance. Dance was I think that's my number one,
Yeah.
because I feel like, especially when I was 5 years old when the abuse happened, I think what really helped me, not get into anything worse was dance because I had that outlet. I had that place to really go and express myself and listen to music, feel the music, and feel my body because they did try to take one thing from me, which they want to do is they want to take your body away from you. They don't want to feel like I didn't feel like my body was my own at all. I felt like my body was borrowed. It was strange. It's a strange feeling, but I never felt like my body was mine.
Because you were paid to dance and perform. Yeah.
But when I was in dance class, that was the time where I was like, this is my body and nobody else's. So I think and that's why I started She Is, because I felt like this was like a big healer for me. You don't need to, like, we've traveled, we've been to Thailand and Cambodia, and it's like dance is universal. It's not like I have to learn Thai or anything like that. It's like, no, they can watch me and then they can do it. And it's just universal that everybody can do it.
So tell us about this. Yeah, tell us about this dance and what you have set up. It'd be great for the amazing survivors watching to learn a little bit about that.
Yeah. I didn't really know it was healing. I thought it was just something that was second nature to me. But once I started teaching at an after school program, I was teaching dance. I could see how, from the beginning till like a few months later, how much these young girls,
Yeah.
their confidence were up, the getting along with others, feeling good in their body. So I thought, this is something that I really want to do. So I started teaching at Children of the Night, which is a nonprofit in Van Nuys. And that was like my first, because this was like an after school program, but this was like my first time working at a nonprofit where they lived. And I fell in love with it. I'm like, I want to do this. I want to teach at more nonprofits. So I started teaching at a few in LA, San Diego, um, where else? Um, Palm Springs. And I would go to Palm Springs. It's far, so I don't know whoever's listening, but I live in LA, so I would go 2 hours there and 2 hours just to teach an hour class and then 2 hours back.
Wow,
So
that's commitment.
and I did not care. I loved it, even though I was there for an hour and stuck in traffic. I knew that this is what I wanted to do. So then we did our first mission trip. We went to Thailand, and, I was like, I don't know how impactful it's going to be, but let's just try it out. So it was me and two of the women that work for volunteer for She Is. And there was one young girl that was suicidal, and she missed a few classes. We were there for 2.5 weeks, and um, she was she was there. She wasn't there for like two of our classes she missed. And when she was suicidal, she was in therapy, and she said that the one thing that really saved her was dance class. And I was like, and it was like out of the movie, setting up the scene, but it was raining. It was raining nonstop. And we heard about this, and then she came to our class, and then she gave us the biggest hug. She was 11 years old, and she was being abused by her uncle. And was just really, really unhappy. And then, dance really helped her. And I was like, holy crap, we have to do more mission trips. And then we went the following year again, and she wanted to be a hairstylist, and she ended up dyeing my hair red. And it was just such like a really beautiful story. So, yeah, that's why I was just like, okay, we obviously here, but also doing stuff worldwide also.
Yeah, that's amazing. And as you say, dance is universal, and it's that whole physiological thing too of this is my body, I'm moving it, I can move it how I wish to, and it's an expression, isn't it, of who we are. And what
Mhm.
else are you doing? Because I know there's more to you than just the dance and being the survivor.
Well, I wrote a memoir about my life as well, so that was really cathartic too. Um, and it got published. So that I still dance. I have a beautiful son who's 7 months old. So, yeah, I'm still doing this work and I love it. Sorry, she's right there. Our cat.
So, do you have your book with you? Can you show us your book?
I actually,
Or tell us the name. Where can we find it?
It's called Natasha's Not My Name. Um, and you can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, online. And it's just basically kind of what we talked about, but more in depth about what I went through.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, oh, well done, you. And we've got an incredible family of survivors out here, all in 95 countries now, handing the shame backers. So, very grateful to have that. But just wondering what words or what you might recommend to our survivors who will watch this and are watching. What would you recommend to them in terms of we're all on our own healing journeys. Some of us are at the beginning, some of us have moved quite a way through. Any kind of advice or recommendations you would give?
Yes, I would say if you're a survivor and you haven't told anybody, find a trusted friend, family member, somebody, because I do believe sharing your story is definitely healing. Don't blame yourself at all. This is not your fault. Yeah, it's a horrible thing that's happened, but you can definitely heal, but you have to do the work. And you know, put on a song that you just love and just dance. And you can feel connected to your body and so much joy because when I'm sad or if I'm feeling disconnected, I do that. And my son has so many dance parties because I'm just always dancing.
That's so beautiful. And Isabella, you've also gone through some experiences too with the fires.
Oh
So
my God.
So, are you able to share with us? Because not only have you gone through this childhood trauma into your mid 20s, but you've also had these fires. Are you comfortable to share? Is there anything you could tell us about that?
I mean, our community, it was extremely sad. I'm on the other side, so I'm in the valley, but we left the house because it was smoky. We can see the fires coming from over the hill. It was terrifying. So we actually left to my aunt's house that lives 3 hours away. Um, Nothing happened to our place, but it was just terrifying and devastating. And I've so many people lost their homes. And like even where I work was closed for a few weeks. So it was really sad to see that. But definitely our community always pulls through and just helping each other out.
Wow.
Hmm.
So, actually, during it all, was your door knocked on, or were you just out of there as soon as you smelt the smoke, sort of thing? How was that experience for you?
Our area was like, okay, we're on the next. So just make sure you have everything ready. And we were like, see you later, because also we have by at that time he was 3 months old. So even for him, like the smoke was so bad in our house. Like it was we couldn't handle it. So we had to leave. And
Yeah.
we can see all the rubbish from the sky and all our, my car was covered in ashes. So we were just like, see you later.
Wow. And thank heavens you were okay and your family was safe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, we've got a few minutes left. I'm just wondering, is there anything else you would like to share with us about the work you're doing now, and what you're involved in? Is there anything perhaps you haven't talked about that you'd like to?
Um, I think that if anybody wants to reach out to me, if they have any questions or if they're looking for some classes to join, definitely reach out. I mean, you'll have my information there.
Yeah, we'll
So
put everything in the show notes.
reach out to me if you have any questions or just anything. Don't hesitate to reach out because I knew when I first was starting to talk about more and more, I'm not afraid to ask if I don't know something, I'm not afraid to ask, but I know a lot of people are not as comfortable. Like for me, I have so many resources because like I'm like, I don't know this, I'm feeling this way. Can I reach out to that person? When I, was pregnant, I had a lot of PTSD, a lot, especially breastfeeding. I've reached out to other survivors and asked for help or guidance or what can I do to feel more comfortable. So I think for me, that's really helped. And if anybody is, I feel this way, and maybe I don't know, because like when it came to, PTSD during pregnancy, I had no idea. I was just having the feeling and I wanted to talk to other survivors who had kids. So if I don't know the answer, I'll find it for you.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And look, I think, what you're able to share and some of, what you've alluded to already is really powerful. And I think all of us listening and watching, I just want to go and put some music on and have a dance. So,
Yes.
so thank you. But if you stay right there, Isabella, I'm just going to close out with our amazing audience. So, thank you. So, audience, it's so fabulous having survivors from all over the globe and different ways that we're all unique, that we release tension or we release trauma through our body. And as we know, the body keeps the score. So, isn't that powerful? That's such an awesome way to do it. And Isabella shared a lot of things, and I think one of the things that she talked about was actually having an older cousin who she thought she could trust and confide in be the very person that then exploited that and manipulated her. And I think that will have synergy with many of you. And it's often that double betrayal because not only was she taken and groomed and used for those purposes, she'd also shared what had happened to her. So I think that's particularly cruel.
Mhm.
But, as always, amazing survivors, you're never alone. I see you, I stand beside you, and I believe you.